Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we'll make some potato bread. Yes, actual potatoes were used to make this delicious, sweet, soft loaf. And not only that, we also used the potato cooking water, some eggs, some butter, and fermented it in the fridge for 24 hours. And all of that resulted in this beautiful loaf. I mean, look at it, almost looks like brioche. So soft and fluffy and sweet. You wouldn't even know that there's potato in it, but it definitely adds to the texture. But as always, you'll find a full recipe with all the details down in the description box, with metric and imperial units. So no matter where in the world you're from, you'll be able to follow my recipe. Now first things first, let's see what equipment we need. We'll need a bowl, scales, dough scraper, temperature probe, and a loaf tin. Simple as that. Now onto the ingredients. We need some strong white bread flour, a whole egg, some soft butter, yeast, salt, sugar, some cooked potatoes, make sure they're nice and soft, and also the cooking water from the potatoes. And it goes without saying that these should be chilled down completely before use. Matter of fact, I refrigerated the potato water, the potatoes, and the egg. But to learn more about dough temperature control, click the link in top right corner. Now the method for this recipe is super simple. Grab your bowl, add the potato water, and all the other ingredients except the flour. Make sure you break up your potatoes. You could actually mash them beforehand. And once you've combined everything, give it all a good mix. You want to try and break up the potatoes. In hindsight, I should have mashed them before I added them. That's totally fine. This worked anyway. Just make sure everything's mixed well before you add the flour. And speaking of flour, here it comes. That's the last ingredient for the dough. Now grab your scraper and start mixing. You want to mix it in your bowl until it's one cohesive piece and there's no more dry flour. And if the scraper's not doing the job, continue on by hand. And once everything's mixed well, tape it out on your table and start kneading. Right, because there's bits of butter and bits of potato in this dough, I'm going to start off with the regular kneading method by pressing down and forwards with the heel of my right hand and folding the piece of dough under the heel of my right hand using the fingers of my left hand and turning and repeating. I mean, most likely you know how to do this. But if you don't, just watch my hands and repeat. You want to do this for around 2 minutes. It will be sticky. Halfway through, you can grab your scraper and scrape it all together and then keep kneading. At this point, we're just trying to mash all the ingredients together. And after those 2 minutes, we're going to continue on with a different kneading method called the stretch and fold. This is a great method for kneading when you have a sticky and wet dough. And it's very simple, just watch my hands. Pick the dough up by one side, stretch it against the table towards yourself and fold it over. And always pick it up by the side. So you end up doing like a crisscross folding motion. Once you've done this a few times, you'll get the hang of it. And again, once in a while, just scrape it all together using your scraper and continue. You want to keep doing this for around 8 minutes or 500 turns if you want to count them. And as you can see, the dough has become nice and smooth. It's still a little bit sticky, but that's okay. We have sufficient gluten development, and regardless, this is going to be sitting in the fridge for 24 hours, so it's going to develop even further. Now shape it into a nice ball, pop it in your bowl and take the temperature. 24 to 25 degrees Celsius is just about right for this. If it's any warmer, you may risk overproofing it, but if it's a bit cooler, it won't make much of a difference. Now cover your dough up and pop it in the fridge for 24 hours. And you'll see it should have puffed up during this time. And it's the next day, so let's have a look at it. It's definitely doubled in size. Now we just need to shape it. Now just to be safe, I would recommend dusting your table lightly with flour, because this dough is still a little bit sticky. I didn't use any flour, but you know, better be safe than sorry. Right, so to shape it, release your dough from the bowl using your scraper, place it out on the table, smooth side pointing down, then flatten it out. Then you want to grab the two sides and cross them over in the middle. And then grab the top, start rolling and tucking. It doesn't have to be super tight, just make sure it's nice and even. I wouldn't worry too much about the end bits, because it's going in a tin anyway. Just make sure it's nice and straight, and that's it. That's your loaf done. I am using a non-stick tin, but I still grease it with butter every time, just in case, and also it gives it a nice crust. Now get your loaf, place it in a tin, seam side pointing down. Then you can press it down a little bit just to make it fit, but it will expand anyway. Now we can cover it up and leave it for the final proof. You want to let this rise until it doubles in size. And it took me around 3 hours. My kitchen is around 22 degrees Celsius or 72 Fahrenheit, so if yours is warmer, it may take less time. If it's cooler, it may take longer. But regardless, during the final hour of fermentation, preheat your oven to 160 degrees Celsius with a fan on. Also, if you have a Pyrex dish or thick cast iron tray or cast iron skillet, preheat that too and use it as a base. It's really good for baking the bottom of a loaf. If you don't have one, that's totally cool, it will work anyway. Now, quick last minute decision here, I decided to brush the loaf with an egg yolk. It will give it a nice golden crust, but you don't have to do this. It will still be a beautiful loaf. Now get this baby in the oven, it will take around 40 minutes. And look at that, it puffed up beautifully. Now whenever you bake anything in the tin, you want to let it chill out for around 5 minutes before removing it. And that's the potato bread. Super simple, right? And the result is amazing. It's literally like brioche without being a brioche. But as always, if you have any questions or suggestions, drop them down in comments, subscribe for more videos, and check out my channel because I not only have recipes, I also teach bread baking principles. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.